All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by two veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience need to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. It's Tuesday. We start off with a little somber news. Today we remember Sergeant Scott Hyman, the Hayes Police Department, Kansas. End of watch, Sunday, September 28th, 2025. Let's keep his family, his friends, his peers, his community in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this sudden life change. And now, the night you were all worried about. The night you wait for it. The song was requested by Lacey. He started singing it. We played it for him. Misfit Nation, this is it. This is the last ride of September. And you know the crew doesn't go out quiet. They go out loud. All month long, they brought the grit, the stories, the laughs, and the fire. And tonight, they're turning up one more time before we roll into October swinging. This is ToosDay Crue, where the energy never dies, the truth always hits, and the misfits come together to raise the roof every single week. So stand up, misfits, get loud, and let's finish September the only way we can. Make some noise for your Tuesday rock stars. They call him Steven, they call him Jake, Cagney and Lacey, the ToosDay Crue.
All right. Look at that.
How you doing, Steven?
It's more exciting every week when he starts this shit.
It is. And I tell you what, it is a great Tuesday, and let me tell you why.
Why?
My Irish won.
Oh.
They didn't just win. They stomped the shit out of Arkansas.
Amen.
Indiana beat Iowa. I can't remember the last time that happened. I'm sure Mr. The Nation will let us know somewhere during the broadcast here.
And a little side note: the Giants won their first game this weekend.
The Giants won. I was happy for y'all for that.
Yeah.
Joey Logano did not win a race this weekend, and that was.
I love that Chase won, and I love that everybody's crying, "Oh, he stole the win! He didn't steal the win." Those two are playing grab ass, racing for first, and he ran that damn car. That's what he did.
He reached up there, he grabbed it by the balls and twisted. I mean, it was pretty badass. I watched it, and I watched the one where they had him and his spotter talking to him while he was doing it from his car view. amazing. That's all I got to say about it.
He went from 10 back to blowing by everybody and just winning the race. And they're like, he stole it. He didn't steal shit. He outran them is what he did.
He did.
Anyway.
He did. That was definitely a good show.
I digress.
Definitely a good show.
I'll calm down now.
You're fresh. You're fresh off a little vacation up. You went all the way to Maine, right?
Went up to Maine. We started in New York at the Baseball Hall of Fame. We went to a museum while we were there and checked out the Calvin and Hobbes exhibit. Because, Calvin and Hobbes lives on my arm.
It had been 18 years since Indiana beat Iowa.
Then we went to New Hampshire and we went up to Maine. We were touring around. It was a good week.
Did you have your lobster?
No, as a matter of fact, but she doesn't eat seafood, so I wasn't going to put her through that.
Okay. All right. Well, I just finished up a big old steak omelet and some biscuits and gravy, so I'm ready to rock. And hey, I tell you what, we got a great guest this evening. We're going to have to, and this is nothing against Naoki, because we love guests that talk, but we're going to have to flash her a timeout like that when we've got questions, because
she's in the green room going, oh yeah.
Yes, she is. I tell you what, she is excited to be here, and we are excited to have her. And folks, let me tell you a little bit about Naoki. She's a retired Marine, former Navy corpsman, and she is an Indigenous medicine holder. And I'm going to let her explain what that is. And she's a passionate advocate for naturopathic healing. And basically, what naturopathic, it's natural, and it's healing without harming. A lot of this stuff that we can naturally heal ourselves with don't have all those nasty side effects that these chemicals that doctors want to punch into your body. They don't have any side effects. Me and my wife, we kind of play around with it a little bit. She grows herbs and all this stuff, and she's got an essential oil for everything. And I tell you what, I was a little leery of it because, I'm just a regular guy. You got a headache, take a pill. No, there's better ways out there that are much healthier for you. So without any further ado, let's get Naoki in here.
Good evening.
How are you guys tonight?
We're good.
We are great. We are great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You follow me online, so I'm a little squirrely. Rescued my squirrel, took him out of camera so he doesn't take over the show, so people will pay attention to us.
But now you got to show the squirrel at least once.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because he is the catalyst to this, because this little guy.
Look at that.
Making his debut, and he doesn't like the camera, obviously.
Now, I'm going to say something totally screwed up here. He gets a little older, he'd look good on a biscuit.
Look, now, I wish I could disagree with that, but technically, that's traditional. We ate all the squirrels and the jumpy things. So this would be small homestead farming in the 18th century. I'd be raising my own food. And see, I would probably carry him in a bag with me. And if I know what he's eating, I know what I'm eating.
That's I'm glad you brought all that up, because that's going to kind of transition into your healing process and everything. Knowing what's in your food. If your food don't make you sick, or your food can heal you, but hey, it's the first squirrel we've had on the show. So awesome.
Well, now he's podcast famous. I hope he doesn't blow up and get his own page.
And what's his name?
His name is Sheepy.
Sheepy.
Yeah, it's spelled with an S with a little V over it, I:"PE. So that is a Siouan word. That is a native word, and that is the native word for squirrel. So we figured calling him by his native name, in case he didn't take to me and I had to release him. I've been calling him Squirrel the whole time. So I was trying to create a barrier, but no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. He chose me.
That almost happened. We fostered a dog. Me and my wife, we foster rescue dogs occasionally, and we fostered one, and we were almost foster failures. She almost stayed.
Look, and I'm telling you, that's why I was a foster parent. So I have adopted children. So everything that comes to my house chooses to stay because there's love. And that's where I leave that. And then being indigenous, it's obvious. I have a connection to nature. I like animals more than most humans, and being a retired Marine, you can understand where that comes from. I'd rather carry a squirrel in my pocket and throat punch somebody most of the time.
Yes.
But the
Yes.
squirrel makes me all soft, less throat punching. It's a
Yes.
therapeutic device.
I
I'm gonna have
completely
to get one of them
understand.
because I feel like throat punching people all the time. So
Look, when he has baby squirrels, look, they're gonna be PTSD coping squirrels, and I'll just come deliver them to those who need them. Because when you got a little squirrel in your pocket, all that rage goes away because it's doing silly things and it's making you disconnect from that violent streak. Telling you, therapeutic modalities. You have to carry a squirrel with you for at least 6 months. If you're not a better person after that, then I don't know what to tell you.
I tell you what, you bring one to Western Kentucky, I'll take a squirrel and I'll feed you something homegrown. How's that?
Look, I'll bring you one I didn't give a name to, and I'll cut up the vegetables for you.
Rock on.
Even
Uh,
better than that, the size of a groundhog's bottom fits perfectly into one of those little three-legged alligator cast iron pans, and with just enough room to throw some taters around him.
I
Make them
do.
nuts.
I do love groundhog.
Me
That you
too.
mentioned that. Hey, we gave just a short little introduction of you and what you've done and what you do. Uh, Go ahead and tell the nation about yourself.
So, my name is Naoki. I'm 54. I like long walk. Oh, wrong show. So, I'm sorry. Keep it
That's for
on.
the
No.
Misfit Nation After Dark.
Oh, if that exists, we can go there too because I got a lot of potty mouth stuff. But initially, I'm 54. I enlisted in the Navy on the Navy birthday, October 13th in 1991, and I began my illustrious journey as a military service member as a corpsman after going to Great Fakes. And unfortunately for me, my journey in the Navy went a little bit sideways. So we were at Balboa and we were doing our uh, autopsy and transit carries, and a body fell on me. So in 1993, I expeditiously left 2 years of Navy service to join the Marine Corps, and they made me ammunition, explosive, and ordnance. So I went from putting people back together to blowing people up. But then I became a dual purpose Marine because anytime we couldn't get a corpsman for PT, guess who got that job?
Yes.
So starting that, I kind of still haven't had an affinity for hanging out with the IDCs, the Independent Duty Corpsmen, and learning stuff because I was starting to see, and ironically, being stationed at good old Camp Lejeune, I started to notice that there were weird things going on with my body. Being a woman, and obviously, it's going to get graphic. So my menstrual cycle was messed up, and everybody kept telling me, "Oh, this is stress." My hair started falling out. I woke up one morning, my mustache was out of rags, and I'm like, "Whoa." I got a 5 o'clock shadow, and seriously, like I had a soul patch, like the dude, like all the dudes from the grunge era. So I started noticing my hair was thinning. I was going through all this stuff. Menstrual cycle's abnormal. I'm married. I'm not making babies, and we're practicing at making babies, and no babies are coming. So as I started going and getting checked out, I was the first active duty female on the East Coast diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I beat two med boards, but I suffered weight gain and loss and things like that, which kind of made me focus on I needed to get away from the pharmaceuticals, changing my diet, trying to get people to listen. Well, we know that nobody in the Navy wants to hear a Marine tell them that they think they know what's going on with them, whether I was in the Navy or not. I was a Navy failure to them, and so they kept ignoring it. Well, I ended up with cancer in 2003.
Mhm.
And in 2000, I had it the first time I was pregnant with my son, and they thought they'd gotten it. So after my son was born, and I lost his twin, and he's still here with me now, I had to do something drastic because they were not treating these side effects. Now, polycystic ovarian syndrome actually stems from metabolic X syndrome, which we know as insulin resistance. Now, because it had all these other terminologies and nobody knew how to treat that back then, they put me on a bunch of birth control pills. They put me on a bunch of antidepressants. And basically, I ended up weighing 311 pounds and trying to take my own life. So on June 10th, 2008, I successfully killed myself, and Mary Washington Hospital staff brought me back to life. And I promised that when I came back, I would be a better steward to my body, to the earth, and to other people, and that I would look for ways to recover, that I couldn't walk into my own bathroom and use whatever medication I was being given to end my own life. So it was both a physical and a psychological journey for me. And going back to my roots being indigenous, I mean, my mom, everybody else's parents were going to buy Robitussin. My mom's got like those little, those little dingle ball things that hang from the tree that
Mm-hmm.
are all spiky. Well, if you soak those in sugar or honey or another compound and you let them ferment naturally, they are good for bronchitis and bronchial disorders. And now I had to go back to my mom, the queen of all these essential oils. And I was like, oh my God, I tried to run away from this when I was a kid. Turns out it worked. I was on immunosuppressants for years. I was on azathioprine and I kept having seizures. I mean, I don't know if you were able to go back and look at my profile. It was like every 2 days I was in the emergency room. And I mean, you were with me on part of that journey. We didn't think I was going to make it. And this last year, coming out of remission was really difficult for me because I had been in remission for 2.5 years and I thought I was doing everything right. The side effects of pharmaceutical drugs, even though they say that warning on there, they say, oh no, you'll be fine. The mixture of certain drugs and compounds caused my kidneys to fail. And luckily they found out I had lupus. So I had lupus nephritis. I had to go through all these recoveries. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I took a big leap when the cancer came back. And being a Marine, like I worked at the Consolidated Substance Abuse Control Center at Quantico, Virginia. I'm an intake coordinator and I was our drug demand reduction coordinator. So if you can imagine what it felt like for a Marine to go, nothing else is helping me. And I'm looking at these studies and cancer is curing people's cancer. Please don't let me die. I've got kids.
Mm-hmm.
So initially my doctor wouldn't approve it. And so there I was dying and I said to hell with it. And I stopped going to VA for a year. And I went and I got my medical card and I went on that the silky hike that I had the seizure on. And once I had that seizure on that silky hike, I told myself I would find natural ways to heal because I didn't want what was supposed to heal me to take my life. My systems were failing. My liver was toxic. I had hepatitis, medication induced hepatitis, and I was huge and I was miserable. Well, when the cancer hit last year, I weighed 122 pounds and I'm 5'9". So finding out what these compounds in, like the terpenes in cannabis, well, all plants have those things. So it wasn't just the cannabis. So I started looking at other plant compounds and those stinking essential oils my mom kept trying to force onto me actually have the same components. So when you look at things like and everybody laughs, aromatherapy. No, it does. Smelling those oils can change the frequency in your body because the waves and sound waves and frequencies we move on doesn't necessarily have to be a sound or something you take in. The sound, the smell, the sensation, putting it on your skin. There are so many natural compounds that are out there that these pharmaceutical drugs really are just a replication, but what they tweak is where the problem is. You can't tweak the plant itself unless we've seen the kind of manipulation. And I think that's where I was kind of thrown off. I saw the manipulation with marijuana and things that they were adding and it scared me. But being able to grow my own plants, knowing what went into my plants, because I had a lot of adverse reactions with different types of salts that the commercial dispensaries were using. So in my venture to save my own life, I discovered a whole nother world of plants and solutions that had already been there, but I never bothered to look into it. So last year we started getting sick and I was like, what else can I do? Literally green pine cones, soak them in sugar, pine syrup. Pine syrup is better for your throat than Robitussin because all the polysorbate, draja, blah, 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 I just call it goose shit, pardon my language, all the goose shit they put in that stuff is not good for you. But when you know what the polyphenols in the plant are, you know what the terpenes are, you know what works for inflammation. So I started looking at what plants have similar profiles to the cannabis: rosemary, lavender, basil, things that we've been cooking with for hundreds of years. The reason we were cooking with them is because we knew their medicinal properties. Did you know that mint tea was routinely drunk after eating for digestion? Because the basis of all of our anti-nausea, Pepto-Bismol, mint, and that same white clay dirt that you can get in Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
you go pick up about 20 pounds of that, and then you break it off in little 1 pound increments, and you either put it in your oven or in your microwave. And guess what? It is literally the same substance that they go and they mine, and then they mix it with other crap to make milk of magnesia. These things are out there waiting to be discovered. But the biggest discovery for me was DMSO. And I would like to try to pronounce it again, but I can't. So if one of you would look that up and say the whole word.
No, I'm not even going to try to butcher it.
There we go. So look,
I know.
everybody can Google it.
I know
So-
what DMSO is, and I know what I use it for. And the only thing that you really got to be careful with on it is if you are still, if you are a woman and still of baby making age,
Absolutely.
you don't want to mess with this stuff because it will,
Breaks the cell barrier.
yeah, it will mess up your world.
So
I'm gonna cut you off here real quick because you was mentioning essential oils, and we do that a lot here at the house. If you're going to get into essential oils, I just want to caution everybody: buy the quality stuff.
these, because that stuff's
Don't-
mixed and cut.
We get ours. We order ours from a guy who does all his own distilling over in Israel, and they're professionals at this. And now they're a little more pricey, but you get more bang. You know, where you put 10 drops of doTERRA in, you put 1 drop of this stuff.
Yeah.
And-
The reputable companies here, the only one that was reputable went to the China market, Young Living. My mom used to be a distributor for them as a naturopath. That's where I got my background. But yeah, you are 100% spot on. What's here commercially? Everybody's walking into the doggone Dollar Tree. No, you don't want to ingest those. Those are not good for you. They're not even really good for aromatherapy because they're synthetic.
Yeah. And hey, we got a question here for you. This is from Salt Lick Face. How did your experience as a Navy corpsman and Marine shape your approach to healing? Thank you for that question, Salt Lick Face.
I was always drawn to healthcare with my mom being a naturopath, and I really wanted to find out if I could actually not use like lamb's ear or mullein or anything else. I wanted to know what the other side of medicine was like outside of my upbringing. My mom would make us eat herbs or make a poultice and all this weird stuff. And so I just wanted some skills that translated. I wanted to learn how to do stitches and all that stuff. But once I realized when we got into the pharmacology, that's kind of what put me off. Once I left the Navy, I still brought that information with me. But in the Marine Corps, I was getting broken all the time. My hands were swelling. Being out in the field and being a woman, we know that is not the ideal environment for you to be in. So actually, I got cystitis from being in the field. And that was my first experience with DMSO that I didn't realize later on in life would form that. But really being a female, being an ammo tech, and being out there with grunts, I had to learn my body, and I would literally use pharmaceutical methods to skip my menstrual cycle while we were deployed. If we were at CAX, I didn't want my menstrual cycle out there, so I'd double up and stack up my birth control pills and skip a cycle. Well, if you don't know that that's also going to suppress your pituitary because it's increasing those levels because nobody tells you. This is why when they tell us things like, and we double up on medication, it was watching my body deteriorate when I was at my supposed healthiness. I was running a 283 PFT.
Hmm.
So how come I'm breaking? How come I can't get my body to do what I want? And then as it started to affect my bones are breaking. Now I'm the light duty warrior. And now I'm mad because I'm good at my job. I know my job, I can't deploy with people because I'm sick. So that drove me to figure out what was making me sick. And believe it or not, my fellow female soldiers and Marines, we were being exposed to all these heavy chemicals in the ASP that nobody talked about, the previous packaging and preservation, and it was causing most of us to have thyroid issues. We were at Lejeune, so the water was already there, but we lived, FC 520 was right next to that water treatment facility.
Hmm.
So myself and another Marine that worked, we went out and we went to basic explosive safety and said, hey, we need all the MSDS on this stuff. We need to find the estrogen agonists because all of that packaging and preservation, those were estrogen agonists. Even the chemicals that we were using, the solvents we were using to clean our weapons, estrogen agonists. So the more exposure I had as a female in the ammo community to estrogen agonists, my estrogen was suppressed. My ovaries started making more testosterone. So here I think I'm training, getting better at my PFT and getting faster, but my density and what I'm changing into, there's hair growing on my body in a male pattern. So it freaked me out. Then
You
I
were
was
becoming a
embarrassed.
man, man.
There you go. And it was before everything now. So if you can imagine, that was not a good situation for me. And I was terrified, but I didn't know how to bring it to anybody's attention. So I went for about 5 or 6 months just talking to other female active duty members, but nobody wanted to talk about it yet. And so when I finally got diagnosed and I started going around asking other people, hey, you work in the ASP, you work in this ASP. And I started collecting data from other females who worked with ammunition and explosives. And we kept seeing the same repetitive pattern in what was in the MSDS that were estrogen blockers, and how also, oh my gosh, those same compounds were causing insulin resistance in the men. Some of the men working in the ASP that were prone to things like that were getting gynecomastia, and nobody was talking about it. I mean, running around the ASP calling somebody bitch tits is not nice when it's not funny because there's a lump in a male's breast because he's developing breast tissue, because people
Mhm.
don't understand the correlation between exposure and pharmaceuticals. If you are already taking pharmaceuticals don't that have a profile that's going to overtox your liver, you're going to get hepatitis. Then they're going to send you to the STD place because they think that this hepatitis is because you just got back from the Philippines, and that's not what was going on.
And I can because when I got back, I spent a lot of time in Iraq, and when I got back, I was run down. I couldn't. I just I felt like crap, and I finally went in, and VA doc did a blood test on me, and she goes, "Well, you have no testosterone."
None. It depleted it. All those agonists.
And then about a month later, I went back to the VA, and I guess she talked to some of her colleagues around the country and stuff. And I guess that's a big thing with Iraq veterans. And so,
Mhm.
and I like you know, I was exposed to a lot of ammunition and explosives. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Yes, yes, yes. 100% yes. You also, if you haven't done it, you need your heavy metals tested because all of that Cat Y rework that came back from Kuwait the first time was
Mhm.
redeployed. And all those chemical biological agents from the first visit to the sandbox are in all that wooden dunnage. So all of our exposure to stuff that had already deployed and come back,
Yeah.
nobody talked about that.
Yes, it was. And we got another question. I think you've already answered this. This is from non-com me 43. Were any of your medical issues linked to Lejeune? Thank you for that
Absolutely.
question.
Thyroid cancer. My thyroid was irradiated while I was at Camp Lejeune. and they did the dual dosage of radiation in 2000 when my son was probably about 4 or 5 months old. And I ended up with another cancerous goiter in 2003. And then I don't know if you remember when I had Clyde on my neck. That was a squamous cell that got loose from all the other cancer surgeries. So 3 different times with that exposure at Lejeune. The first time I was on infertility medication to get pregnant, got pregnant, was pregnant with twins. That was in 2000. So by that time they were saying, oh, well, we've taken the toxicity out of all the solvents in the armory, and now we don't have to restrict pregnant females from working in the ammunition supply point. But they forgot that all those years of storage in earth covered magazines, soil leaches. That's why we have this Camp Lejeune water survey. And then put
Mhm.
on top of that, the FC 520 where I lived was right next door to that nasty water treatment plant. Now, add to that my dad is also a retired Marine, and I lived there, New River and Cherry Point as a kid. I'm literally kind of a petri dish. So from the time I was formative years of becoming a young woman, I didn't have any problems, and we didn't live at those bases. So went to Iwakuni, graduated, did all those great things, came back as an adult, enlisted, and get back there and go directly to Lejeune. And I am supposed to be peak fitness, and I am literally declining, and I'm PTing more, I'm going PT crazy. I'm like, what is this? My body's starting to break down, and we couldn't figure it out. And so finally, it literally took a suicide attempt, unfortunately. And because people didn't talk as openly as now. So I was tired of being tired all the time. And I just felt like it would be better off if I didn't have to feel that way. And finally, it took a lieutenant commander, and he's like, what is going on with you? I was like, I don't know. And if you could help me. I mean, the brain fog was even worse because I'm autistic, but I was high functioning autistic. So I did a lot of, like I said, ammunition and explosives. And for the Army, I'm a HIMARS and MLRS instructor. So I'm not a dumb girl, but I couldn't execute. Executive function was failing. I couldn't remember where I put my phone, the brain fog. I'm like, I'm not deployed. Why is this still happening? So we went through the mental health aspect. And you know what they do for that? They throw you a handful of Prozac, Wellbutrin, everything that they're getting their kickbacks for, they put you all on it. And then when you're numb and you can't do anything, so I did something really radical. I stopped all my medication for 30 days and waited for my body to get baseline. And I went in and begged him. I said, if you don't find out what's wrong with me, I'm going to kill myself because I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And everything that I was exposed to. I worked at base explosive safety office. So I did site plannings, all our net explosive weight waivers. I was in charge of that. And when I'm telling you all the environmental compliance letters that I watched, all the MSDS that I looked at and what they exposed us to there. And then nobody wants to be accountable. And they say that, oh, in 1988, we had a different water treatment facility. No, those ranges. All that chemical crap is in the ground, the same ground we lay on when we go to qualify, the same ground that we build our bivouacs on when we go to the field. Those chemicals are out there, and they're leaching into everything. Our children that live in the base housing where we used to have those ranges are now playing where all the ammunition waste is, and it started childhood obesity with little kids. That was what got me, seeing 4 and 5-year-old kids exposed to the same stuff we were exposed to as adults. A 5-year-old weighing 85 pounds doesn't make sense to me. And then the kid's got a thyroid goiter. So you're seeing kids get goiters, have thyroid problems, breathing issues. So all those things that I encountered at Camp Lejeune, and I was there the longest, and I fought the hardest there. And ironically, you would think that there was a horror story. The Navy did right by me. Lieutenant Commander Christina Hackelford, and I hope somewhere she hears me say her name. She started this push. She got me up to National Institutes of Health so that they could look at me. She got me up to Walter Reed. She's like, there's something wrong with this Marine. There's nothing wrong here. There's something wrong here. And she went with me for months, and they finally diagnosed it. And it really was the combination of those chemicals impacting your sugar processing, the precursor to diabetes. So this wasn't just restricted to me as a woman, but it was more prominent because I was more susceptible to gestational diabetes. But
Hmm.
men are showing up with lupus. That's a predominantly female autoimmune disorder, but
Yeah, yeah.
that exposure.
You don't hear of men with that.
No, and my chief warrant officer, and they took me out of the ASP while this was going on. So imagine no more exposure for that time being. And I go to S1, and over that year, my labs get better, my weight levels out, my eyebrows grow back. So they send me back to the ASP.
Of course they do. Hey, we're going to take a quick pause here, and first of all, I'm going to highlight that we are so happy that you were a suicide failure,
Yes, thank you. Me too.
and we're great to have you here, and we want to tell everybody out there, hey, if you're out there, you're feeling the darkness, you're not having a good day, good month, good year, whatever, it's gonna be okay. But if you want somebody to talk to, pick up that telephone, dial 988. If you're a veteran, pop option 1. Somebody will answer, somebody will talk to you, somebody will listen to you, and somebody will get you on the road to getting the help you need.
They'll
If you
even,
don't
yeah.
if you don't want to call that number, you hit me up, Jake at themisfitnation.com, Stephen at themisfitnation.com, or hit up info at themisfitnation.com. Drop your phone number in there. One of us will call you. And because
Anytime.
And be good
yeah,
friends out there. Advocate. If you notice that your friend is not feeling good, we as Marines, we put our foot in our friends' asses. Hey, get up. Let's get out of here. And that was one thing that was good for me. I didn't want to call the hotline initially. And so people came to get me up and about. So reach out. Friends who are doing better than your other friends, keep that finger on the pulse. Make sure if you notice that change, you encourage them, get help. I retired in 2004, and we didn't talk about what was going to happen afterwards. We struggled through getting through that last deployment. My husband went to Iraq. We switched over with 1st FSG. And then I realized I don't go back. There's no more flip flops. I stay home with the kids now. But that didn't stop all those problems. And it was very strange to try to reach back out to find out what was going on with other people. But if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't be here.
glad you're still here.
Yes.
Now, okay. Oh,
Real quick, I was going to answer this because I've been reading it. Yaya Binks, which museum were you at that you saw me? And I wish you would have come up and actually said hello. We could have taken a selfie or something. I'm deaf in one ear, so if you're yelling to me, I might not have heard you. You might have been the wrong side, and I wouldn't have heard you. It's like day and night when I'm walking sometimes. I can hear you. I am stone cold deaf, But next time, anytime you see somebody, come up, approach me. I would take a selfie. We could have chatted. It would have been nice.
deaf in one ear, can't hear out the other.
Hey,
Yeah,
I think
I'm
that's
working
all.
on
Yeah.
getting to hear you.
And we got
I'm
another
just
question
avoiding the second one.
from Nefertutsis 3. Can you share an example of a natural remedy from your tribe that's been especially powerful? Thank you for that question, Nefertutsis.
Absolutely. Rosemary, believe it or not.
Big fan.
Rosemary is a natural antiseptic. Lavender oil. Let's see. Yarrow tea is excellent. We've got our tribe has we have a holly. It's called Yapin holly, and it's a lot better for you as far as we know that there's some touch and go on coffee. Well, Yapin holly has a high caffeine concentrate, but all those excess oils and tannins that are in coffee that upset our stomach and move our bowels, doesn't exist in Yelp and Holly. So Yelp and Holly tea is actually a precursor to a monster, but there's no crash, there's no added other things. So if you take your little handful of supplements, your taurine and all that silly stuff, and follow it with that tea, you don't need that monster. And it takes all those
You,
excess chemicals out.
you say that's Yaupin Holly?
Yep, Yaupin, Holly. And if you go online to the Colonial Williamsburg site, it's available and you can order it from the grocer.
Okay.
And let's see, what was dandelions, believe it or not. Dandelion tea and dandelion syrup is really good for coughs, congestion, and bronchitis. I have asthma. I only carry a rescue inhaler with me. And I was one of those unfortunate souls with asthma that when I got COVID the last few years, I got it 4 times. So I have long COVID.
Okay.
Nope. They put
And
that on the paper, and all these natural remedies, rosemary and lavender essential oil, food grade, in a gallon of water. What rosemary and lavender do, lavender is a natural internal healer, and rosemary for all your other skin balancing things. It's got terpenes in it that are good for balancing, like the amounts of sebum and hair thinning. So
I,
it shocked me.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because as you can see right
Oh,
here, but my wife has fixed me up a little bottle of argan oil and she's got more herbs growing outside the house. She's got, she's got rosemary, thyme,
yes.
basil, oregano, yarrow, all different kinds of stuff, eucalyptus, all kinds of stuff
Yes.
she's got growing out there. And we tried a new one here this year, and I'll share it here in a minute. But anyway, she chopped me up some rosemary and put it in that oil and letting it steep in there. And every time I wash my hair, I get a few drops and I rub it in. Here for too long, I'm going to have luscious locks.
Yes.
Like mine.
Look,
You give
sir,
me
you're
some
going to need
rosemary.
castor oil for that. That's some deep tissue massage. You're going to need an esthetician to rub that castor oil in from the front to the back. And then you're going to need a lot of prayer, which means I'm going to need sweetgrass and sage. And I'm going to have to move around you to summon the spirit of that hair back, sir.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that. And also, this year was our first year of growing the loofah gourds.
Oh, yes. And those are good for, even, believe it or not, those are even good for your pets. They're
Well,
cruciferous. And if you dry them out and you stick them in pet cages, they help with their little teeth. When we raise rabbits for food. So I don't need to get bit by rabbits. So they like to chew on the loofah. I mean, scrub your body with it. And that's another, people think that naturopathic, part of that too is self-care as far as your skin and your person. Magnesium baths. You can take, I call it bath tea. You take rosemary, lavender, thyme, all of those, basically any herb you've heard of biblically, holy basil, things like that. All of that, literally, you're making people soup. You put it in that bathtub and you use some Epsom salts, because a lot of people don't realize that the number of pharmaceuticals we're taking now depletes our magnesium. Magnesium, we need that because arthritis, all of our joints, and magnesium also helps replenish the myelin sheath on those little brain cells of ours so that they can communicate. Because once that myelin sheath gets destroyed, that's when we start getting interruptions. We start having spasms, we start having seizures, we start having muscle failure that they can't trace to an injury or the sciatic nerve. I was getting where my hands would cramp up like this. Magnesium stores depleted because your liver's overtaxed. So, one of the milk thistle was one of the other things that will cleanse your liver. And I mean, you can drink it in a tea, you can take it in a supplement, you can use a cream. And again, that belly button, a lot of those essential oils in that belly button portal is essential because all those nerve endings in that umbilicus are still there and it's just pinched off. And that's where you mix those things with that DMSO, it breaks that cell barrier and you replenish your body. I would encourage people with, especially with DMSO, because internal cystitis, any inflammatory conditions, complex regional pain syndrome, and believe it or not, some of the common viruses that some of us have been exposed to. I mean, we're grown people, so we have to talk. Some people have not always made the best choices, and in the heat of the moment, come back with things that they couldn't get rid of. Well, DMSO has been shown to decrease the amount of herpes simplex breakouts, both type 1 and type 2. So, getting to the base of the virus itself, anything that's a viral antagonist that is in the plant world, is going to process in your body differently than per se something you're taking. That's why that ivermectin argument, look, my family's a bunch of farmers. Haven't been able to have access to ivermectin before, and I did have the shot too because I have lupus, so I was forced to take that. But the ivermectin, I think I got it 4 times, but I didn't. The worst thing I got was migraine headaches. Didn't lose my sense of smell, didn't lose my sense of taste. So there's so much more out there available in the natural arena that is just as powerful, if not more so, because it can't be patented and you can use it more often during the day. You know, I mean, how many times have you taken a muscle relaxer and it says, hey, only 4 of these a day, but throughout the day you're working really hard, so after that 4th one you feel like you need a 5th or a 6th one. Well, that magnesium oil, believe it or not, your muscles are cramping up. You mix that magnesium oil with the DMSO, it breaks that cell barrier, you rub it right into the muscles, and you can literally feel them go from this to loosening up. And I would never have believed it if it didn't work for me during the worst times going through chemo. My last chemo treatment was the 30th of January. And this time I felt okay because I knew, hey, we're going to do 2 cycles of this, but I've got the naturopathy. Let's look at my ESR. So your sedentary rate tells the level of inflammation markers. And mine was so ridiculously low as opposed to every other ER visit. I was like, hey, hit me twice and then we're done. And I'm happy to say that last month, clean bill of health, all my levels are back. My hematocrit, which had bottomed out at a 9, is back at a healthy 19. So we're doing a lot better. And literally, yeah, I literally, we got to stop with the fast food at this age. I can't, it does boil down to the reality is the preservatives that are out there for those of us who are already taking on too much of a chemical load. The fast food's doing nothing for you. If you can eat local, and I know I sound like a hippie, but it's true. Eat local, eat fresh, know what goes into your food. I don't even buy cannabis from a dispensary because they use chemicals in that. Grow your own everything if you can, and for what you can't grow, find a local co-op for food or shop in areas. And I know organic produce is so expensive, but if you drive out 35 minutes away from your house to somewhere where somebody's still farming organically, it can make the difference between your health now, between me being here at 54 and me being here at 64. I know if I eat this way, I'm going to be here well into my 70s. But if I go back to drive through Burger King in the morning, McDonald's in the evening, TGI Fridays at night, every combination of those nasty chemicals that are in our food and our daily exposure. So you're eating all that crap. You're going to get gas. Those gas fumes, just the same way aromatherapy works. Everything we inhale and eat affects us outwardly, and we don't get to take that into account every day. So on top of the already toxic environment, we're throwing handfuls of pharmaceuticals in our body, one that suppresses some function, one that enhances another function. And what you do is you disrupt the pituitary thyroid connection, so they don't know whether to, pardon my language, piss shit or go blind.
I understand. We got another question popped in here from Bro Lamino Turbra. Okay. What advice?
Go to your BOC or go to your primary care provider. I have an excellent primary care provider, and I want to give a shout out to Richmond, Virginia's. Let me tell you, McGuire has done amazing things. I went to my PCM and I asked her, what are the alternative care provisions? So me personally, because I had cancer, I had to do a safety contract and agree not to consume any alcohol. That wasn't a problem for me. I I had to get myself off of that in the first place. So that was the groundwork that she laid. And at the time, they couldn't endorse cannabis use because it technically wasn't legal yet. So she said, if you do this, you go get your card from there. So they couldn't make the endorsement. Last year, with the progression that I made, all I have to do, I have to submit to random drug tests to ensure that I'm not utilizing any other street drugs. But I signed that agreement and I signed a safety contract, and I'm healthy. I'm not an abuser. I was also an intake coordinator at the Consolidated Substance Abuse Control Center at Quantico, Virginia. So I am an intake coordinator and a drug demand reduction coordinator, sitting in front of you telling you there is a way to responsibly use cannabis and other compounds, because we're looking at everybody's pushing this ketamine thing. Really, cannabis relaxation and frequency, meditation, journaling. There are so many other things that are available naturally. Then there's other plant compounds that, if you're not comfortable with cannabis, do the research and find out what the terpene profiles are. But if you're someone who is been going through a lot of treatment, and especially for me, Skywalker OG was great for my PTSD. I was sexually assaulted in Okinawa quite violently, and I managed to make it through because, again, we went through in a time where it was I either shut up about it, get over it, and continue my career, or I let that be the thing that preceded me. Well, after I got out, there were a couple more problems that arose, and all the antidepressants weren't working for me because I'm autistic. So my neurodivergence wouldn't even allow these drugs they were giving me to function accordingly. So I had to find another way. So prior to the first time using cannabis, I actually did the research. What are the chemical profiles? How do they work? Why do they work? Use my physician's desk reference and my background as a corpsman to see whether or not it was worth it, whether the hype was just because people just wanted to abuse this drug. And there's responsible use that doesn't even involve the psychotropic properties. You can take sugar leaves off, grind them up into juice, and those the same cannabinoids that are non-reactive still exist in that green leaf. So you add that to your smoothie. It repairs the lining in your stomach naturally. We have cannabinoid receptors that are already in our bodies, and that's why when you see people that say they smoke so much they got sick, well, that's an indication that you're overusing. So if you do the research first, yeah, hyperemesis, cannabinoid hyperemesis. Now, I had hyperemesis gravidum when I was pregnant, so I was like, that means puking. Pardon my just blatantness. But yeah, if you smoke too much, you overload your cannabinoid receptors. So too much of a good thing. For me, I don't like being dissociated. So I am a moderate user at night, but I am a heavy user of the non-psychotropic because I will go, and the other growers, I will get all their sugar leaves. I will grind those up in the same way people use wheatgrass, because it is really, really, my eyebrows were not here in January. They're back. My eyelashes were gone in January. So I've actually seen the benefits of the biggest argument for the plant. I was like, well, let's see if it works without that. And it does. It works both ways. And it's a better sedative than taking Xanax. I mean, literally, the worst side effect is you smoke too much, you throw up, and then you try it again and you throw up. So you're going to naturally take a break because nobody wants to continue to try to do something. Well, drinking, see, abuse. So it's the same parallel. There's responsible use, and the kickback for a lot of us is that once we retire, that mentality about the zero use policy, we don't really get a transitional conversation about that. We come out the same way. I'm not going to use that. I'm not a hippie pothead. Well, it was the only thing that saved my life. And then literally I went through shame and guilt, and I didn't want to tell anybody, hey, I'm recovering because in addition to chemo and radiation, I started using cannabis. And then as I started getting better, I stopped caring about the stigma because I wanted people to know. And so you've seen my feed. Hey, I advertised for a little while. I was going around doing informational spots as the ganja geisha. So it was important for me to get out there and educate people that, hey, we can't partake. There's reasons on active duty for all those things. I wish they'd do the same damn thing with alcohol and kids under 25. We'd see a decrease in a lot of the bad things, but something about the TAPS program needs to change. There should be somebody, a medical officer, an alternative care person that comes in and says, when you go and you do your VA claim and you do your health care, there is alternatives to what they're going to give you. Because look, my best friend, Mike Whiter, also known as Philly Stoner, he did an expose about 15 years ago with a bunch of us veterans with the medication they gave us from the VA in one hand and a couple nuggets of cannabis in the other. All the medications I was on wouldn't fit in one hand, so there had to be a picture of my medications on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And that started to become the issue with so many of us. Today, I sit in front of you. I take thyroid medication because they killed my thyroid,
Mm-hmm.
and I have an inhaler. Everything else is naturopathic.
Yeah. Now, I want to add to that question that he asked about if they want to get into it. Buy a book. Do
Yes.
your research. There are plenty of naturopathic books out there. Mrs. Holland has a stack of them.
And bet she's got the herbalist survival guide, right?
She has the herbalist survival guide.
Start with that one. Start with that one. It's an easy read for those of us who are slow.
And that one, and she has another one called The Lost Ways.
Yes.
Hey, hon, you're getting thumbs up from our guests. So yes, Gerard's Herbal. Okay, I will write that down. But and
there's more, Jake.
Oh, there's more. Braiding Sweetgrass. Okay.
Those are two good ones for those who are interested in these are both this one goes back, this Gerard's Herbal goes back to, so little history, and this is not, it's going to come off super anti-colonial because it is what it is and it is what happened, and it's not meant to rage bait or race bait, but here in the lovely colonies, when they first got here, they were annotating a lot of the medicinal compounds here and how the natives were using our medicine. So this ended up getting sent to Massachusetts. And then when racial integrity came along and they kind of removed everything, we didn't have a written language. So most of this that goes back to those doctors in Massachusetts, this was literally Eastern Woodlands native medicines, but we were not given credit for them.
I understand. Here's another one. I don't know if you can see that one or not.
Pull back a little.
Hold back.
No.
Anyway, it's the Forgotten Home Apothecary. It's 250 powerful remedies. And
there's another one for, I know some Christian people are a little against because it's called The Kitchen Witch, but it's not an occult book. It is how to make tinctures, compounds, and formularies in your kitchen. But it's written by a lady who said that because she used natural medicine, everyone called her a witch. But sometimes when I bring that up and I don't have time for the disclaimer, people don't want to get into it because they think it's a cult, but it's really not.
Yeah, and I completely understand. It. So if somebody wants to ask you a question, how do they get in touch with you?
Oh, you can look for me. As a matter of fact, let me just you can email me, niokee@gmail.com.
Okay. Did you catch that, Rich? He'll run it across the bottom of the screen here.
I was gonna say, will it come up backwards? Oh yeah, let me see. We'll do that.
But this has been quite a trip this evening.
Well, you have me all the time because we are fellow alumni of the Paris Island Support Group, sir. So if you can see Naoki@gmail.com,
Got it.
And look, even better if you're in the Williamsburg area. I am an Indigenous interpreter at Colonial Williamsburg, where a lot of these resources and information can be perused by you to find all these native resources. So if you're looking for a reason to take a vacation, learn some stuff about naturopathy, and come see some natives in our natural environment, walking in the footsteps of our ancestors from the 18th century to current, come on over to Colonial Williamsburg, stop by, and I will point you towards where the Yapin Holly tree is.
Okay. Awesome.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, now you got questions from the guests. We asked you a couple questions, but I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. I'm going to have a question for you. We need to know what are 3 non-negotiables for Naoki every morning when she gets up. Your day is not complete without them.
First of all, personal reflection. You have to start your day focused on having the best day you can. And that means literally you're going to have to do that work at night. And you have to take whatever's left over the day's stress. And it could be the worst stress in the world, but you have to remember that you have to recover. Self-care is important to move forward. So if you don't start your day saying something positive to yourself, how do you expect the rest of the world to greet you? So I want the first words of my day to be, hey, good looking. What are you doing today? Well, that's my internal dialogue, but usually I'm singing with a squirrel. So it's more like I put on a production every morning, more like Oklahoma, to sing myself into being happy. But start the day with something that brings you joy, because you don't know what's going to hit you when you walk out that door. Number 2, put out what you want in. The world sucks. And I mean, let's face it. Let's bring up something super personal for me. You were with me last week when my predator was fired in front of the world stage, right? That was beautiful. I had no control over that, though. I cried, I begged, I prayed to God, and whatever's for everybody else, I prayed out. And you watched my journey with that. And just being faithful to being positive and understanding that there's a future regardless. And I would love to flag his name, but discretion is the better part of valor. But he got what's coming to him worldwide, and that was beautiful. So focus on being the best that you can, and just wish everyone the day they deserve. That means those good people that are coming around to you, you want them to get that energy back, and push yourself away from the negative energy. Third one, don't move your boundary for anybody. When you start moving boundaries for people, that means you're going to change your whole world and your whole focus. When you set those boundaries, those are yours. That is your personal protective device. That is your fence. Do not move your fence. I don't care whether you love someone, whether you like someone, whether you hate someone. Your fence has to be impermeable. You have to protect you, because without that, all those cliches, oh, you can't pour from an empty vessel. You can't live if you don't give yourself something to live for. And if you don't set your boundaries, you're living for everyone else's expectations. So live in the most positive way you can. Live to be self-sufficient when it comes to, you cannot rely on everyone for your emotions. Now we come together and we talk to everyone, but at the end of the day, when you close that door, when you're by yourself, you have to be okay with being by yourself. And once you can do that and lay your head on the pillow and realize that next day's coming, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you got to call somebody, that's okay too. But go back and self-soothe and tell yourself it's going to be okay. I died in 2008. I was dead at Mary Washington Hospital for 7 minutes. So when I tell you, you don't want that bargain on the way out. Love yourself. Don't rely on anyone else to love you. Love yourself and set hard boundaries to protect that self-love, because that's the most important and strongest thing you can do for yourself. Because once you love you, you don't have to rely on anybody else's self-love, but you can also welcome in love in a healthy way, which they don't teach us. And once you see healthy love and reciprocity, and that doesn't even have to just be in an intimate relationship. Every interaction is intimacy. Not every intimate interaction is sexual. So when we start looking at the intimacy of interacting with other human beings and protecting and preserving our space, that strength starts inward and starts to go out. So make those 3 rules: self, supporting, self-sustaining rules. Don't include the rest of the world in those first 3 rules. Those are just for you. Those are right here.
Okay.
Then set it up.
All right. All right. Well, hey, this hour flew by. Now,
Well,
Yes, it
you'll
did.
have to have me come back when I can show you some plants next spring, and you can have me back during the winter. I can show you some winter remedies.
okay. All right. All right. Well,
And
hey,
yeah, look, if you bring me back in a few months and during cold season, I'll actually have some remedies for you with some recipes right now. How about that?
okay. Yeah.
Fantastic.
We will definitely keep in touch.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you. And look, thank
Thank
you
you.
for your service, and thank you for being my brothers in arms and taking care of the rest of us misfits, because without each other, what will we have?
We wouldn't have anything.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
You're so
ToosDay
welcome.
Crue, Misfit Nation. We love you. Thank you. There was probably a million other places that you could be tonight, but you chose to be with us. And
Hey, and I will be here anytime you guys would like to have me here. I really enjoy it, and in the hopes that I could help somebody else, because it was a hard journey for me, but I got a lot of help from a lot of great people, and I just want to pay that forward.
all right. All right. And hey, that's what it's all about. If you can help one person,
Yes.
you're good to go.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate you. And listeners out there, please, if you didn't get that email, it's N as in Nancy, I as in India, O as in Oscar, K as in Kilo, Echo at gmail.com. If you have any questions, I may not respond in the first 2 days because obviously I'll be talking somewhere. But when I shut up, I'll get back to you and get back to you within 7 days and get you some recipes up. And if you guys, if I have enough interest, maybe I'll start a side page with some of those homeopathic recipes and blogs and get them out there to you guys.
Yes, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. And definitely, you are one. You drop a quarter in your slot, you're going to sing. So,
Absolutely, sir. Somebody's got to be the ballerina in the jewelry box.
that's right. Well, hey, again, Misfit Nation, we love you. Thank you.
Love you guys.
And Stephen, any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still getting over the comment about seeing me, actual. And I'm 56 years old and never had anybody ever say that to me. Nobody was ever excited to see me real. Do not be afraid to approach. I might have, RBF. I might look like a miserable person, but I'm really a nice guy. You come over, talk if you see me. I work retail.
That means I'm going to have to come out there.
All day long.
I'll have to come out there and give you a big old bear hug. So we can see the bear doesn't bite.
Bear does not bite. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Great show.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Nation.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.